that he, didn't listen to the wise man that told him what to do, right? What did Northern Kingdom say? They're like, what do we have with the house of David? We're going our own way. And that's when the split happened. And there was about to be some war. The Most High stopped it, but then there was a split. So then you had a king over the southern kingdom, like that's what the scripture says, Judah and his companions, and then you had Ephraim and his companions. Those were the tribes, but they were scattered. I mean, not scattered, they were separate, right? They're still brothers, but they had rulers over different people. Because when you read the book, like this brother about to read, in fact, you can hold that, go ahead and read that. Because when you read about it, when the split happened, who got taken away? It wasn't the whole Israel. It was the northern kingdom. It was a split. And you can bet, and you can believe that when that happened, the southern kingdom was like, yeah, good for their ass. That tension was always there. It's still here. That's why we got niggas that roll by and say Shalom, but Mexicans ain't Israelites. Why do they say that? They got issues. It goes back to the curses. Right? Hold that. We're gonna come back to it. Give me Judges chapter 12. Go ahead.
This is 2 Kings chapter 18 and verse 9. It reads, "And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hosea, son of Eli, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. And at the end of 3 years they took it, even in the 6th year of Hezekiah."
And Hezekiah was the king of Judah, I believe. And also, well, no, just keep going.
In the 9th year of Hosea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. And the king...
That's why I wanted to mention Slakia. In the scriptures, Samaria is also referred to as the southern kingdom also. I mean, it's like the northern kingdom. They also referred to as Samaria because you had accounts in the scriptures where the northern kingdom decided to join up with the inhabitants of Samaria to fight against Judah, southern kingdom. So when the Lord referred to him as Samaria, there's times when the Lord referred to him as Samaria, I believe Ezekiel 16th chapter, because he went over their account. He's like, why is northern kingdom teaming up with Samaria to come against southern kingdom? Go ahead.
It says Samaria was taken, and the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah, and in the harbor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moses the servant of the Lord commanded, and would not hear them nor do them. Now in the 14th year of Hezekiah...
So that shows you, give me 2 Kings 13. So that shows you that this northern kingdom, they was taken away. And the scriptures goes into detail of what happened to them. Pretty much, after they got free from the Syrian captivity, they crossed over through the power of the Lord and through the splitting of the ocean. They came on this side of the world. That's your explanation. You can't say, because these niggas like to say, well, they don't fit the curses because we went on slave ships. But these guys don't know basic history. If you know anything about history, the first slave ship didn't go from east to west. It went from west to east. When Christopher Columbus, that devil, and them other devils came over here, they said that these people would make perfect slaves. And the people they came across was the Israelites, and tribe of Gad and tribe of Reuben. And what they land in Dominican Republic? Is that where they landed?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And they said they would make perfect slaves. And they took 500 of them. They even made a movie about it. I don't remember the name of the movie. That brother knows probably what I'm talking about. And they took 500 of them and took them over there to be slaves. But there was too much rebellion that they all died. So then they said, well, we got to get better slaves. Let's round up them Negroes. And that's when the Atlantic slaves started happening, funded by the so-called Jew. The reason why these Negroes will say, oh, they ain't a part of the tribes is because, one, the curses. And can you give me that about, the I shall be evil, the curses, right? And that's pretty much it. And also it's because the evidence, you could say, the evidence of the scriptures, right? The 12 tribes. Because somebody would like to say, like the apostles always say, people who denounce this tribe chart, please make your own. And they never do.
Yeah.
Right? They never do.
Yeah.
They just try to, I remember IUIC at one point, in their little intro, they had all the sides and question marks. Like, we don't know, it was just question marks, right? But then they took it back. Now they got the train.
If I could mention that each tribe got its little characteristics, and if you look in the scriptures, like especially in the 1611, they have like an animal or a symbol beside their tribe, like Issachar. You know how they animal or the emblem would be like the bull or the donkey, and they hard workers. You know, Judah, the lion, and that's the spirit of us. Like when he rises up, like that's Judah. You know, just little details like that. You know, these other counts overlooking stuff like that, but it's there when you're paying attention.
And it all boils down that you got to be spiritual about it. If this chart wasn't the truth, why is it that these are the only people holding the post teaching this word, right? And all their and yeah, they got some that look like Edomites. You got some brothers look like Edomites, but they ain't no Edomites. So what are they? They're Israelite. They go back to one of these tribes,
Right.
because Esau hate them, and Esau can't teach this word. And then you got bro. Have you seen Chicago? It seemed like it's more Northern Kingdom than it is Southern Kingdom. Why is that? If this chart wasn't the truth, be spiritual. You gotta say, okay, well then they gotta show something. They gotta show that these Latinos, most of them, they gotta be Israelites. You know? And also we going through the same hell. The white man, when he put his little rules down to hurt Jake, it's not just blacks. They also include Latinos and Native Americans. Why is that? Bill Gates, his devilish ass, and his wife. They said the first people that gotta get injected with the vaccine are black people and indigenous people. Why she mention that? Because we all one people.
That's right.
You wanna say something?
And kind of in, like the tribes, it's not based off his skin color either. You know, Jake get caught up in, melanin, woolly hair. You know, you got some Gadites that look like Judah. You know, like Gad ain't always gotta be light skinned with the long, ponytail and all that.
Or the women too.
Yeah, or the women too.
I've seen Gadite women who look like Negro women, right? But they'll tell you that they're Gadite because they wanna make sure you know I'm Native American.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all ain't gotta have that image of a Gadite to be a Gadite. And Elder Malcolm is a Gadite. From what I believe they say he definitely got the spirit of God. You know? And I'm glad you mentioned that about how there was some little differences. I want you to go into that. Read Judges 12 at the top. This is going to prove to you that the Southern Kingdom and the Northern Kingdom, especially with Ephraim, there was already like a different dialect tone that they had. Like if you go to Mexico, you can speak Spanish one way, but then you may enter another city and they got their own little dialect. Same language, but the dialect's different. It was the same thing with the Israel. Even though it was all speaking Hebrew, each tribe you can kind of say had a different little sound of speech. And this is the perfect example that's noted is with Ephraim. You got that?
This is Judges chapter 12, verse 1. And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Jephthah, wherefore passest thou over to fight against the children of Ammon, and did not call us to go with thee? We will burn thine house upon thee with fire. And Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were a great strife with the children of Ammon. And when I called you, ye delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw that ye delivered me not, I put my life in my hands and passed over against the children of Ammon. And the Lord delivered them into my hand.
And I'm going to show you. See, when you read this, you get an idea that there was already some strife between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. There was already some strife there, right? And that's why Ephraimites got mad. They said, you went up to fight, you didn't wait on us? You know? And we are Israel too.
Wherefore then are ye come up unto me this day to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead smote Ephraim because they said, ye Gileads are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites and among the Manassites.
See, there was some strife back then, you see. This was all after Joshua, man. You know, Jake, and it's even tell you in the book of Judges, Israel did what they thought was right, so to speak. They made their own laws, whatever. They did what they thought was right, so to speak. It's actually in there, right? So that goes to show you that there was already some strife between them. And then, you know, when King David came on the scene, like, I can't remember, I believe it was with King David. I don't want to say it. I can't find the exact scripture, but this kind of scenario happened again, but I want to say it was Issachar. I think you said it was Asher, one of those tribes.
I said Ephraim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the scenario I was talking about.
Yeah, but it was another one, you know. But pretty much, I believe it was King David. He called the Issacharites up to war, but then after he received counsel saying, you know, we don't need Issachar, he turned around and said, look, Issachar won't need you, and they got real mad against the house of David. That's what it was. So that was like some little tension building up. So like I said, when it came to the split, right when Rehoboam was like, I'm about to make the yoke on you harder, they was like, what do we have with the house of David? We ain't got no inheritance with y'all. We're gonna go do our own thing. And that's when the split happened, right?
Verse 5, and the Gileadites took the passage of Jordan before the Ephraimites, and it was so that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto him, art thou an Ephraimite? If he said, nay, then said they unto him, say now, Shibboleth.
Right, and that's in the Hebrew. I'll have to look that word up, right? But since Ephraim came up acting stupid, they was whacking them, right? So then when one tried to cross, he was like, are you an Ephraimite? That goes to show you that we all kind of looked the same. They didn't have the Puerto Rican hair and Puerto Rican look. They didn't all look the same. We all, you know. But if it's one thing they could know is that they had different, you know, dialects, right? How they spoke Hebrew. It's like, okay, you're not an Ephraimite. I want you to say this word in the Hebrew. Get that part.
Then said they unto him, say now, Shibboleth. And he said, Sibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan, and there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 40 and 2,000.
So that right there is proof that there was some different tones between Israel back then. You know, that's why it's good to know your book, right? Little pieces of information like that is very important. That's proof right there that we had little different speeches when it came to the Hebrew, because they tested it. Like, you an Ephraimite? No, say this word. Couldn't say it perfectly. That's an Ephraimite, man. You know, get them, right? So that's proof right there. So, go back to Isaiah 11. Because the first thing, because like I said, Jake's simple. We don't look the same. So, we don't speak the same. So, hey, there's strife between Puerto Ricans and Mexicans, Cubans and goddamn Argentinians. They actually fight over that stuff. Dominicans, Dominicans and Haitians. Dominicans, they got, what I saw, they got issues, man. They got issues, man, with Southern Kingdom for some reason, man. They just got some issues, man. It's like demons on them. But they little strife like that actually happens amongst Israel. It's simple.
Yeah, because we can see that with Judah too. Like, if you from down south, you might talk different than a guy from New York. You might have a little strife there.
But it's still gonna be
Still nigga.
Ebonics, you know, under the same banner of Ebonics.
Right.
It's gonna be a different way of how they say it.
Right.
'Cause
Like
you have-
door and dough.
And they say us in St. Louis, they say we got an accent.
Yep.
Because of how we say there, right? We're supposed to say there, but we say there. Talking about something that's different. There. I didn't get it. My cousin like, see, that's the St. Louis accent like that he talking about. It's supposed to be it's there. So that's what I said. She's like, no, that's St. Louis. I'm like, really? I didn't know. I still don't know. I thought that was
Right.
right. But because people will ask, right? Like, why is there a strife between Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom? Why they don't want to accept this? Because Jake is simple. And you got the curse scripture, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read that.
Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that a man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
That's right. So that's part of the curses. That's why Jake find the stupidest things to have strife against one another. Like the brother said, I'm from uptown. You from downtown. I don't like it. You went to school, right? What school you go to? Well, I don't like you because you go to that school, I go to that school. So we got beef with that. As if the motherfucker had a choice to choose what school he went to. Like, whatever parents, whatever neighborhood they chose to live in that district, that's what you got to go to. They had nothing to do with him. But the simple shit, right?
Even skin tone, like I mentioned again. You got light skin Jakes versus dark skin Jakes.
Yeah, simple shit, man.
You know,
Simple
hey, and that's just not with Judah, because like you think that it's just with Judah, like the whole house Negro, field Negro. That's among all the tribes. You even got that among Iscarites. I had this Iscarite that I used to work with. He was saying, I don't get along with dark skinned Mexicans. I'm all like, and then so from that point on, I'm like, okay, yeah. So like we all suffer the same exact curses. Just we just from different tribes is all. Like the curses on us the same.
Yeah. Simple shit, bro. There was a video of Puerto Rican. He from Miami. It went kind of popular, and he was explaining like. So people ask me, what's the difference between us? Why I got beef with blacks and stuff. He's like, look, I grew up with a black dude. He's my best friend until one day, stuff popped off. We went our separate ways.
Oh, yeah, kind of.